decided to move to San Francisco. The reason I chose that, I did a little research, but I knew I needed to sell my car in order to just take off somewhere, and it had good public transportation. So I sold my car, and I think $2,800 at the time. This was the late '80s, and moved to San Francisco, and found a few roommates, found a job at a magazine, Home Office Computing magazine. This was kind of a new concept back in the late '80s, working out of your home. But the reason I share things like this with you is what I learned by living there is as I learned how important it is to live in a well-planned city. And I lived downtown. I worked on Market Street, the main street down there, and I was able to walk to work, and I loved that. I mean, I look back. It's almost been 20 years ago, but I loved living there. If it were raining, you jumped on the bus to get downtown. So I decided I wanted to go into teaching. My mother was a teacher, so I returned to Columbia and entered graduate school at the University of South Carolina to get a master's in teaching mathematics, and that's where I met my wife as well. And part of that program, you had to spend a semester teaching in the public schools here in Columbia, and I ended up teaching at Eau Claire High School. Anyway, after graduation from USC, I accepted a job on the faculty of Midlands Technical College as a math instructor, where I served on the faculty council as well. After a number of years there, I decided to go back to school in 1998 and enter back into business, and I went to get a master's in accounting, and I chose the University of Texas as a very good accounting program. But also I wanted a city that Angie, my wife, and I would spend the next 2 years would enjoy. And I loved Austin. Austin's a neat city, too. I think it should be a model for Columbia. It's the state capital. It's located on the riverbanks, but I describe it as a progressive. We talk about this creative class, elusive creative class we always hear about attracting, and we've got to create an environment that attracts people like that, and while at the same time taking care of our citizens that are here. But I think that all plays into itself, and certainly crime's an issue. I mean, we've got decided to go back to school in 1998 and enter back into business, and I went to get a master's in accounting, and I chose the University of Texas as a very good accounting program. But also I wanted a city that Angie, my wife, and I would spend the next 2 years would enjoy. And I loved Austin. Austin's a neat city, too. I think it should be a model for Columbia. It's the state capital. And it's located on the riverbanks, but I describe it as a progressive city, and I think it has done a good job of creating a city within a conservative state that's similar to South Carolina, that just kind of has its own separate image, and it is a separate city. And when I say conservative, I don't necessarily mean in the political sense, but I think in conservative states in South Carolina we have such a let's don't try anything new type attitude that plays over into our city. Certainly crime's an issue. I mean, we've got petty crime, breaking into cars, breaking, occasional home, and I don't mean to belittle that, but there are other areas of the city, certainly on the outskirts of District 3, and that are just, they're just living hells. I don't know, Gable Oaks Apartments, it's been in the paper a lot. I don't know another way to describe it. I think of, maybe this is purgatory, where you go to suffer. I mean, it's just awful. So that's the way I would approach things on city council in a budgeting capacity. I think you've got to start with basic services, and that's the way I would look at it. You make sure everybody's safe in their homes, and that means more police. And after Texas, I know I got off on Austin, but I think that is important. Again, those are things I kind of bring with me, that are visions in my mind, how a city I would like it to be.